A parcel has arrived, Ed. A very large parcel. Let's get this open and see what's inside. This is a rather oversized parcel because I think that indicates very careful packing. I think I know what this is because I've only got one thing on order at the moment anyway. Yes. Sneak preview. Okay, right, I'll get the packaging out of the way and then we'll have a look at the item. Okay, so what we have is a Vision by Corning 26cm frying pan with lid. Why am I so excited about this? Well, this is actually kind of brand new in box, or new old stock. So this is in the original packaging and it's never been used. Look at this. Oh, pristine condition. Look at that. Beautiful. So this is a brand of cookware from Corning, a famous glass maker. You may be looking at this video through a glass screen made by Corning. Gorilla Glass, used on most smartphones and tablets and such, is made by Corning. In, I think, about the late 1970s, they released this range of Vision cookware made of Pyroceramic glass or something like that, and it was supposed to be a revolutionary cooking solution. I don't think it was actually all that well received because for a lot of purposes it didn't actually work very well. Glass is not a tremendous conductor of heat, and therefore trying to cook with this on gas, the pan took forever to transmit the heat into the food. However, I've got a ceramic radiant hob, which should mean that the heat goes straight through this onto the food. So this is the 26cm waffle bottom pan, and I think this one was probably made in late 70s, early 80s maybe. So in the booklet here there's an endorsement by Glyn Christian, a TV chef of that era, and judging by these photos, which of course could have been stock photos at the time, and judging by, there's a milk bottle there, that's a dumpy style milk bottle, so we can probably date it from that as well. So this is one of the old ones. They still make this stuff. I think it's now called Visions, plural. Oh, that's trippy. It's never really been all that popular. But anyway, I thought I'd give it a go. And I wanted to try this on my new hob, so I'm actually going to use this, although it seems a shame because it is a collector's item. I will keep the box because it's a thing of beauty. So I imagine this must have either been given as a gift and gone straight into the attic, or perhaps this lurked on the sunny front window of a hardware shop or something like that. It's got a bit of sun fading on the packaging here. I've often wondered how they sell things. Sometimes you see really old hardware shops and they've got boxed items in the front window and they're all faded. And I wonder if anybody ever buys those things. Interestingly, the base is, this pan was made in France, and it's got the Vision Corning France branding on the handle there. The lids were made in Sunderland, in Corning's works in Sunderland in northern England. And so they don't quite match. This is more of an orangey amber. This is more of a browny amber. So they fit together adequately, let's say that. But they were not made in the same country. So anyway, let's get you closer so you can have a look at this wonderful booklet. A visibly superior concept in cooking. Introduction by Glyn Christian, TV's breakfast time chef. So we can have a look at when breakfast time ran as well, and hopefully we'll get a really precise dating of when this was made. Originally, I used Vision pans and casseroles on TV purely because they made it easier for the camera and you to see what I was doing. Now I use them all the time. I found my Vision pans and casseroles stay looking new because they're made from a super tough material that withstands the ravages of heat, water and cleaning chemicals better than anything else. Remarkably, Vision simply cannot warp, rust or discolour. You can mash, scrape or stir with metal utensils with absolutely no fear of spoiling the glistening finish.
A new Vision saucepan has many advantages over an ordinary saucepan. It'll never stain and is easy to clean. Its handle can't work loose. And as you can see, it's not a bit perturbed on a heat that can turn an aluminium saucepan into a sauce. Vision, designed in France from a remarkable new material called Colexium, with a 10-year warranty from Crown Corning. The future in saucepans is absolutely clear.
Cleaning is simple too. A brief soak loosens even burned on food. After all, we all have disasters. And Vision comes up looking new in dishwashers too. Yet Vision is more than just a pretty face. It can also save you money, because transparent Vision both retains and uses heat like no other pan. You can cook at lower temperatures, and often with less cooking time. That can mean a saving on your fuel bill. So you see, Vision really is a new concept in cooking. It's worth remembering. Like all genuine advances in the kitchen, such as ceramic hobs or microwaves, a little adaptation may be needed by the cook. Once you've adapted like me, you'll find cooking cleaner and more pleasurable, as well as enjoying the lasting pleasure of pots and pans that will always retain their shape, brilliant shine, and attractive bronzed appearance. And then there are some little graphs here about how once they get going, you can turn them down, but I think that's generally true of most pans. And I think the glass does actually, when the glass does heat up, it does actually retain heat. So I think their point was that you could turn it off earlier and cook on the residual heat of the pan. So there are some little, I don't even know if you'd call that a recipe idea. Frying is what I intend to try in this pan, it being a frying pan. There's a recipe for a cheese sauce to make in their milk pan, which I don't have. I've only got this one pan. Steamed lemon and leek chicken cooked in the casserole dish. Pyrex and Pyrex style glass as a casserole dish, not a new idea at all. But for frying pans and things that you put directly on the heat, this was a bit kind of revolutionary. Anyway, beef in red wine, smoked herrings. Caring for Vision. And it's guaranteed for 10 years. I don't know if I'd still be able to invoke that guarantee. I bought this on eBay, by the way. Obviously second hand, but brand new in box. Never used. So it says you can scour it, you can use Brillo pads. Avoid the harshest scouring powder and pads. Any other stains or watermarks, use lemon or vinegar. You can even use diluted bleach. As Vision is non-porous, the bleach cannot be absorbed or taint the food once it's been thoroughly rinsed off. Vision's unique handles and easy-to-grasp knobs are smoothly moulded with the pan, so they won't work loose, and they won't get hot during stovetop cooking. They will, of course, get hot if used under the grill or in an oven. So yes, because glass is a terrible conductor of heat, really, the handle on this pan doesn't get particularly hot. It really is a thing of beauty, I've got to say. So even if this turns out to be not very functional, it's very pretty to look at. So just looking around the box. So another thing that dates this is there is a barcode on it. That will also be a factor in dating exactly when this example came from. Anyway, again, we'll get some data from that. Of course, there's no guarantee that this printed material here, they may have kept this in print for a while actually, and so they may have been using this booklet well beyond the point when Glyn Christian actually looked as young and fresh as that. But anyway, yeah, here's the box. Whatever cooking you do, it comes up like new. Don't remember that slogan. And here's the guarantee. And I think probably the biggest fear people had with this is that it would crack when they put it on the heat, because heating glass is often problematic. And so the guarantee explicitly protects you from that. Corning Limited guarantees this Vision product to be free from any defect in workmanship so that it will not break under the effects of extreme temperature and will remain unaffected by heat, water and chemicals for 10 years from the date of purchase. Okay, so here's a date as well. So this guarantee in no way affects your statutory rights as a purchaser under the Sale of Goods Act 1979. So we know that this must be no earlier than 1979. So this may be an early 80s example. We'll figure that out later. But anyway, for now, I think the next thing to do is get this to the kitchen, give it a good wash, and then we'll try cooking something. All right, well, we're going to give this a try. So it might seem like a shame using a vintage piece of collectible glassware like this, but this was manufactured to be used. So we are, in a sense, fulfilling this product's destiny. We can see the element heating up, which is really weird. It says to heat for a minute or so and then add a little bit of oil, not too much. And so what I'm going to do is a bit of olive oil and a bit of butter. I just happen to like that combination. It's also very good as an indicator as to when it's hot enough to fry in. I think a lot of people were understandably quite cautious about using this stuff when it first came out because of the idea of putting glass on direct heat. Of course, this is not ordinary glass. This is a kind of glass ceramic hybrid. In fact, I looked at the recipe for this glass and it's actually quite a complex mixture of different constituents. Right, I'm turning the heat right down now because that's cooking rather too vigorously. Well, it's not sticking to the glass. I did put quite a bit of oil in there. And of course, to cook the top of the egg, to steam the top of the egg, I can put the lid on, which is where we discover how well the lid fits, or otherwise. A little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to turn that off now. Just let that cook in the residual heat, which is actually what the directions say to do. All right then, so breakfast is 2 sunny side up fried eggs, which I've broken one of them, getting it out of the pan, on some just gently warmed bread. And that's a rather nicely cooked fried egg, a little bit crispy underneath, still a nice runny yolk. And, you know, I mean, I'm not expecting that the pan will have made actually a huge amount of difference to the flavour of these eggs or anything like that, but since we are here, it's a good fried egg. It's a very good fried egg because the white is completely cooked and we've managed to keep the yolk from getting overcooked. So, no problem at all with that pan for frying eggs. It did seem to not have any problems at all with sticking. Now, I'm not sure whether that will persist once the pan has a patina of tiny scratches from extended use, but this is a ceramic material, so it's going to be very scratch resistant anyway. Anyway, camera off now. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my breakfast, and then we'll just have a look and see how easy it is to clean that pan. So obviously the lid is going to be quite easy to clean because that only really had the steam from cooking on it. And that's come up good and new. The pan, well, the egg hasn't really stuck to it. Now the directions for cleaning this stuff are a tiny bit terrifying, because somewhere in amongst all those directions it talks about if there's anything baked onto the pan, put it immediately into water, which is a little bit terrifying because my experience of putting glass things directly into water, even hot water, is that they can shatter or explode. However, this isn't glass. This is not ordinary glass. This is this pyroceramic material. And as I understand it, this stuff has a coefficient of expansion practically of 0. And that makes it very, very resistant to thermal stress. I will probably still not put this directly from hot cooking into cold water. So yeah, this waffle bottom surface does make it a tiny bit difficult to get some of the cooked on food out, but I think we've done it. So there we go, good as new. I mean, it is still new. Obviously, I've only used it once, but there we go. And actually, I'm really, really happy. I'm really happy with the way that performed for cooking those eggs. So it's certainly, I haven't written it off yet. Okay, back over to Studio Shrimp now for a little bit of conclusion. So that went pretty well, I thought. And I'm just looking actually because I felt some surface irregularities on this thing, and it turns out to be little bits of text. That says 26 centimeters. I was hoping it might have been a date code. There is what appears to be a manufacturing batch code here, which just says 13. We could speculate that means January 1983, maybe. However, that would place it very, very early in production for this booklet, because this BBC TV show was not aired until 1983. However, I suppose it's possible that the pans and the lids were being manufactured before the packaging was completed. So it could be that we've got a really, really early version of this. It seems likely that maybe that code there is a code for the mould, actually the mould that this was manufactured in. so that would be useful for tracing back defects in the mold rather than the batch. So anyway, that one's got 1-3 on it, and the pan has got an H, just a single capital letter H underneath there. And that's the only codes they've got on there. Corning Vision, Corning France is the only other text on there. Anyway, I was really quite satisfied with that cursory test of this pan. I'd quite like to do some more tests on this, but I think the way we'll do that is that this is now going to be adopted into the Atomic Shrimp Kitchen, and you'll see this pan turn up in some more videos later when I'm cooking things in a frying pan anyway. So if that's of interest to you, stick around. So that was the Vision by Corning 26cm frying pan vintage cookware on Atomic Shrimp. I hope that's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.